Morning. But let's first of all take a look at what happened yesterday as more Kenyans and members of the business community gave their submissions on the same laws.
Again, as we said, our submission was very restricted to areas we felt we could add improvement, but areas of also support. So we do support a lot of the amendments done, but what we have looked through is how do we improve those and also looking at long term.
Kabla ya kuamua kuanza kuweka sheria ambazo tunaamini ya kwamba zitaweza kutusaidia katika uchaguzi ambao ni wa baadaye, bila kujua iwapo koti imesema kwamba uchaguzi haukufanywa kwa mujibu wa sheria, tatizo lilikuwa wapi? Na pia ingekuwa ni muhimu kama lingekuwa swala la umma jinsi ambavyo tunavyozungumza hivi, pia Wakenya wajione, IEBC tueleze, wao ndio wanasimamia uchaguzi, wao ndio wanajua kazi ambayo walifanya, tatizo lilikuwa wapi?
Mambo ya kura, computer is not a human being. Hata Yesu ile mnaomba akikuja hapa kupikia watu kura au returning officer, lazima mmoja atapita kura, mwingine ataanguka kura. Katiba ile mmeandika, please continue with that katiba with Jesus Christ. Chebukati kaa kwa hiyo kitu, mtu asikutingishe. Kuna katiba ile inaandika watu, kuna katiba ile inafuta watu. Not me coming here to say that go away.
All right, so those are some of the submissions that took place yesterday before the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee. And let's discuss some of these. In studio with me, Senator Samson Cherargei, as well as Nelson Harvey, are still in studio. Senator, how necessary are these amendments at this particular time?
Maybe before I answer, just allow me, because some callers were blaming me that I didn't condemn the police brutality. There is nowhere in the world, personally as a person and as the senator of Nandi, I condemn any form of police brutality. But I want to say the interior CS, and we have raised so many questions. Matiang'i has said we are waiting for the report. So even I've talked to FIDA have said they have not received any reported sexual abuses cases, and they are willing to give pro bono assistance. So we condemn. If there is, we are asking the IG and CS Interior to move in with the speedy investigations, and then from there we can comment. Number two,
and we hope it is conclusive investigation.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, they have no option. They must perform.
All right.
Secondly, on the issue of whether these electoral amendment laws are necessary, they are as necessary as yesterday. Because my brother has just raised an issue on electronic and manual transmission. We are just amending Section 39 by saying, if the problem, they said this is more for saffron, some votes are still in France. What we are telling them, if there is a discrepancy between electronic transmission and manual, the manual takes precedent, because we have backup. And that is why, if you look at Maina Kiai case, those are some of the issues we raised when we wanted complementary. Right. Number two, the issue of, say, some forms were unsigned. And I want to quote, he was in some of the city, I think he was in JKL, the CEO, Esra Joloba. He said all Form 34Bs were signed. And therefore, we are now putting law to ensure any forms that are not signed by the returning officers, the POs, or any agents, or any election officials are not signed, there is now a penalty of 5 years, so that we take serious the work that are being given by a returning officer. He has agreed with me that in as much as we want the chairman to be the presidential returning officer, there could be instances where he can be incapacitated to fail to discharge. And also, if you look, we have reduced the quorum from 5 commissioners to 3, and not present the existing commissioners. So it means if for some reason, God forbid, as he has said, is the chairman cannot perform his duty, the vice chairperson, the existing commissioners can choose one of them to announce the presidential results, because it is very important for the country. Right. This is a sanctified process. This is sacred. The electoral process must be protected in this country. And then the last aspect we are raising on the appointment of chairmanship is it does not necessarily need to be a lawyer. Because the managing process of elections of this country is not about law. All right. And we have to agree they could be answered so long as you have a degree from recognized universities, not some of the universities that come from River Road or some, but from a recognized institution. And those amendments are necessary so that we can fortify and ensure in line with Article 81 and 86 of the Constitution, the elections are free, fair, and credible.
All right, I'll come back to you on that because Jubilee, understandably, is trying to seal the loopholes that led to the nullification of this election. There were many complaints that the Supreme Court did not focus more on counting the votes and the manual verification of this election. But there's been questions, especially from some of our viewers, Don Pete here, asking, fine, Jubilee is asking for all these things, but what makes it so hard to audit the servers and open up the servers for people to see, even as they don't even need an amendment law? That's what Don Pete here says. So we'll come back to you for that. But Harvey, we've seen several submissions being given. The opposition has largely boycotted this process. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi says opposition boycott does not hamper this lawmaking process so long as they have quorum. And rightfully so, they do have the majority there. Who do you think loses, though, with the opposition not participating in this?
Well, the person who loses is the ordinary Kenyan. And in fact, I was really flabbergasted to see certain individuals who have been ferried, preferably with buses from all regions of Kenya, to come and sanitize this exercise in the name of public participation. That is an exercise in intellectual fertility. You cannot publicly participate in a legislation that has no constitutional foundation. And why does Jubilee say that they must undertake this legislation? They have said they are aligning the law to the directions by the Supreme Court. Which directions? Jubilee has said it does not agree with the majority decision of the Supreme Court. And verily, they will revisit these issues to establish how the Wakoras really came to this decision. And if you were to ask me honestly, Jubilee thinks the minority decision by the Supreme Court is the one that takes precedence. And the only reason why they are struggling to amend the electoral law is to ensure that the electoral law conforms with the minority decision. Now that is turning logic over its head. Number two, you see, let's take this analogy of maize, because both him and I use ugali as our staple food. When I was a young boy, it was my expertise carving the mwiko, the cooking stick. Now, if for whatever reason the cook, in this case Wafula Chebukati, says there's nothing wrong with the mwiko, and you insisted you want to replace the mwiko, then clearly there's something wrong in what you're doing. Wafula Chebukati has said, we do not want to be interrupted in the forthcoming election. We do not need these laws. Right. And I've indicated to you in no uncertain terms why these amendments are not necessary. And if you look at it from that perspective, you understand why Jubilee are so belligerent in their determination to ensure that they are able to tinker and manipulate this exercise. Has it just dawned on them today that there is a possibility that the IEBC chairman may not be there to declare the winner of the election? The Constitution has been there since 2010. Is it probable that they have something beneath their sleeves that we do not foresee? And it need not be forgotten. When the late Chris Musando came on TV and told us how tamper-proof this transmission was, I mean, it didn't take a week for him to disappear. And they keep on telling us we are conducting an investigation. Investigations as regards what? If you are able to investigate judges and say you are able to pinpoint that there was this particular hospital, there was this particular apartment, these are the call logs, these are the cameras, why can't you investigate the people who Chris Musando was talking to before he was killed? Why can't you tell us where the cameras were doing? So we don't want these shenanigans. There are no requirements for us to change the rules for the game. You see, the football pitch has always been the football pitch. But these gentlemen, what they are doing, they're moving the goalposts so that we don't have a place to score. And Kenyans must not give credence to this exercise. Because you give credence to this exercise, you will be the ones to lose. If you were to ask my friend Senator here, I think he doesn't suffer the perils that the common Mwananchi suffers. I don't even think... Do you have a student in Nairobi University? Do you have a brother?
I have so many relatives who have gone to...
So you must feel the pain, you must feel the repugnance of this administration. And it's only by doing so that we'll be able to protect the future. Otherwise, we'll continue having this problem. And look, in the history of world electioneering, it's only in Kenya that we have two major election scandals. You see, in the United States, we had the Watergate. Now we have the Kitchen Gate. Now we have the Faranga Gate. Two scandals in 200 years? We cannot have this.
Perhaps, Nelson, this is politics at the end of the day. Jubilee is politicking, NASA is politicking, and the same way you take issue with these proposed amendments by Jubilee is the same way Jubilee is taking issue with the reducible minimums that you've laid bare before the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Why is it then that you want your irreducible minimums debated on the table, but you are not okay to sit on the table and debate the proposed amendments as given by Jubilee? Because at the end of the day, you have a lot to say. You know, the opposition has a lot to say about these amendments. Why not give those submissions before the Joint Select Parliamentary Committee?
Well, you see, from the threshold of the workings of this parliament, it's quite clear that the NASA coalition does not recognize the executive. Because you see, the president is the first person who has the role of calling for the first sitting of parliament. This mistake happened in 2013 because ideally the parliament is the president's parliament, is the one supposed to prorogue it. And if there is a challenge on the validity of the election of the president has no business whatsoever proroguing the parliament. And that is the reason why I've maintained this parliament is in office unconstitutionally. Whatever decision they are making are like the decision of insemination by eunuch. They will not go anywhere. And why do I say that this is the case and it needs to be differentiated from the position taken by NASA? Interrogate the manner in which people arrive at a decision. It must be based on a reasoned thought. The arguments by NASA always find basis in the law. And if there is any doubt on this issue, look at the manner in which the courts have determined these disputes. The courts have, in appropriate circumstances, said, well, we are convinced that the arguments brought by NASA are meritorious and are intended to ensure that we have a free and fair election. But what does Jubilee on its part say? In fact, in the presidential election petition between Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, the biggest complaint by IEBC and Jubilee was that NASA has made it difficult for them to do the election within the confines of the time frame set by the Constitution by going to court. Where else did they want NASA to ventilate their claim?
Right.
And you can see when the courts make this determination, then Jubilee now starts fighting the court. Now we are in a situation whereby it is quite clear that there is one wing of the contestants who is keen on forcing his way through, and there is one that is keen on ensuring that the people's will prevails, either through the court process or through legitimate picketing and demonstration that are allowed by the Constitution.
And that, of course, depends on the side or the lens through which you're looking at this. But I'd like us, because we don't have much time, about 5 minutes, I'd like us to focus right now on the 45 million Kenyans whose lives are dependent on this political process that is currently going on. Mr. Oji here on Twitter says, the voice of the caller Omusula from Mukuru Kayaba is the cry of many Kenyans. We are suffering, whether Jubilee, whether NASA. Most of the callers calling in today say, we don't care, you know, what Jubilee is saying, what NASA is saying. At the end of the day, can we have something that is for the benefit of all these Kenyans? Business is bad, especially for those who are not employed out here, and it's not very easy. So for both of you, let me begin with you, Senator, even as you give your closing comments. There's been fears of voter apathy, you know, in the cause of all this. You take a look at social media, many saying, you know, I supported this party, but they do not seem to be addressing our needs as Kenyans right now. So where do we bridge the gap and take a look at what Kenyans need and how it can be solved even through this political process?
Thank you very much. I agree that we have been doing politics for almost 2 years, and Kenyans are tired. Our economy is doing badly because of these elections. So at the end of the day, I agree that we need to get over this thing and ensure we finish it. The process we have started in Parliament through Joint Select Committee, and I want to be crystal clear, Jubilee will never be apologetic for being a majority. We are the product of a democratic process. Elections were done, were elected. That's why I'm surprised. My brother is saying, sisi ni vifaranga vya computer. They said they were 54. But personally, I got...
Baba who said that. And see, when Baba says something, it's the truth.
No, that is why you get it wrong. Let me
finish your closing comments.
Because I got 97% of the vote in the general election. The issue is we have already, as as the parliamentarians, as the senators, we have already started a mechanisms where Kenyans can have, because the irreducible minimums, the conditions that NASA have, are things that they want to do in a gentleman agreement. They don't have basis in the law.
How are these proposed
bombers.
amendments going to better the Kenyan 5-10 years from now?
We will ensure that the electoral process, as we have said, is credible, fair, transparent, and verifiable, so that when we do it once, and Kenyans return to normalcy, and our lives continue. And therefore, when all these amendments are brought in, we want to fortify the election process and ensure the process is credible. And as we go forward, I know all these meetings we have been having is a dialogue that we need this conversation to have as Kenyans, and we have seen our team led by the Deputy President has gone to Bomas. We have seen NASA, but the issue is we don't have conditions because we know we cannot interfere with the IEBC that we have. And going forward, as Jubilee, we want to request our brothers from NASA and to tell Baba that let us go and look for where votes are. The votes are with the people. We are done on 26th. And I can assure you, come on 26, 27, we will beat NASA by 3 million votes, and we run back to the country. We continue transformation of the country. We ensure healthcare is complete. We ensure education system is improved. We ensure economic progress goes on, and we ensure this country moves forward, and the transformation of an agenda of Jubilee, which is founded on the principle, tuko pamoja, we transform this country to a better nation for us and for posterity.
Thank you, Senator Harvey. Your closing comments, please.
Omsula from Mkurukayaba, isn't it?
Yes.
Omsula, let me tell you, Vindu Vichenjanga, things must change. And if things must change, they must change in a sequential exercise. Look at several countries in Africa. The biggest democracies in Africa are Ghana and South Africa, because the leaders do not force their will on the people. You will never hear of any big problem in those countries. Compare with Liberia, compare with Gambia, compare with Burundi, and compare with Uganda. We need to know where our leaders are getting the examples from. If our leaders in Kenya are getting the examples and their best friends are from Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, and Gambia, you will have a lot of trouble. So do not pray that you want to return to normalcy as soon as possible. We need to have this thing done in the correct way, Omsula, because it's not only you, you have children. You see, your children will not have the benefit of enjoying the gains made in the Constitution if, as we speak right now, the people who voted against the Constitution and are now in office are removing all the gains that we fought for to reach this point in time. And now it must be incumbent upon you, however burdensome this problem is for now, to insist that you want the best out of your leaders, to insist that you want the Constitution to be respected. And the first way of doing so is to rise up and condemn the attempt by Jubilee to force through our system this illegal and unconstitutional amendment to the electoral laws. This, the people of Kenya must say no. And do not allow yourself to be ferried in buses to come to parliament in the name of public participation. And sanitize this ridiculous exercise. It will haunt you. It will haunt your children. Put a stop to it right now.
Thank you so much. Nelson Harvey is a lawyer allied to the NASA coalition, as well as Senator Samson Cherargei, who is the Nandi senator elected on a Jubilee ticket. This has been our State of the Nation conversation here on the Morning Express. Bring us to a close on this show this morning. Many thanks for being with us. My name is Michelle Ngele. Many thanks for your calls and comments on social media. We're out of time, but we'll be sampling just a few. Don Pete here says, what if these amendments for Jubilee work against you? Will you again reintroduce an amendment in the next election? We also have Kelvin saying it is impossible. Let NASA withdraw the irreducible minimums and Jubilee withdraw the amendments for fairness. So both parties put aside your demands and let's go ahead with this election. But we'll be continuing this conversation on social media. For now, it's goodbye and good morning. Betty Callow will be with you up next with News Center.